Stop scrolling. Saturn is holding your success, not to punish you, but to make it unbreakable. I speak to you as a preacher, but as an instrument, a hybrid of ancient sight and modern pattern science. I have listened to the rhythms of Jyotish, traced the loops of numerology, and mapped the operating system of human psychology. Hear this first simple fact. Saturn, Shani, is the universe's conservator of capacity. Where impatience gives brittle victories, Saturn delays until what you build can be held. Across cultures, timekeepers were feared and respected. In Vedic lore, he is Shani, the slow, the impartial. In numerology, he rules the figure 8, the sideways infinity that reminds us cycles return, consequence accumulates. Psychology teaches the same lesson in muscle and mind. Rapid reward trains weakness. Let me reveal the first buried truth most people never hear. Saturn does not deny. Saturn economizes. Where you would squander a gift you are not ready to steward, Saturn withholds until stewardship is learned. This is not malice. It is a long-term risk management. Cosmic, social, personal. Another buried truth. Saturn tracks promises. Not the grand vows you shout in crisis, but the quiet contracts you keep daily. The small things, the appointments kept, the ledgers balanced, the apologies made, the project finished, accumulate into a ledger that Saturn reads. Break the small promises and the ledger tips against you. Keep them and the planet itself bends slowly toward your capacity. Here is a third buried truth. Ethics is a calibration mechanism. In the mind of Shani, harm unravels permanence. If your work profits by harming others, even by small, invisible ripples, Saturn will make longevity impossible. Conversely, sustained effort in fields that do not harm others transforms delay into inevitability. Not because the universe blindly rewards, but because your work becomes integrated, trusted, and durable in the social and material networks that determine long-term success. Now, a practical map from numerology. Saturn's signature is the number 8. 8 urges you to build structures that outlast your impulses. If you are constructing anything, a skill, a reputation, a business, imagine 8 as the habit loop you must wire. That loop has 3 steps: discipline, accountability, and refinement. Discipline begins the loop. Accountability sustains it. Refinement upgrades it. At the end of this context arc, I give you the operating premise you will carry throughout the hour. Delay is a quality control system. How they trap you, and most importantly, how to turn them into your scaffolding. This is the section where most people feel accused. I am not blaming you. I am stating structure. The practical reason Saturn seems to block you is that your life has 3 vulnerabilities. The dopamine vulnerability, the ethics vulnerability, and the unfinishedness vulnerability. Each one invites a failure mode. First, dopamine vulnerability. Modern systems produce tiny hits, likes, quick promotions, viral fame that wire shallow competence. Saturn resists this by withholding durable reward. If you shortcut for dopamine, Saturn will force you to rebuild from the foundation. Second, ethics vulnerability. I said earlier, harm breaks permanence. But the buried truth most do not expect is this: many harms are invisible to the agent committing them. Saturn perceives that rot before the world does and acts to protect the larger system. Third, unfinishedness, vulnerability. Humans are brilliant at beginnings and terrible at finishes. Saturn's ledger punishes unfinished work, not always by tears or obvious loss, but by scattering future opportunity. Unfinished craft becomes a ghost that haunts every new attempt until completion is learned. Now the psychological mechanism, fear of loss, swept into habit, becomes avoidance. Avoidance reduces the micro-practice that builds mastery. Without practice, skill decays. Saturn, indifferent to excuses, simply withholds capacity until practice is resumed. You cannot trick it. Here, I reveal a dangerous buried truth. There will be temptations that look like success, but are tests in disguise. These are Saturn's crucibles. Accepting them is a short path to brittle success and eventual collapse. And so the human story repeats. A bright beginning, a stumble at the moral test, impatience, a pivot to a shortcut, and then a long season of delay. The conflict is not external only. It is inside, your will against your wiring, your wanting against your practice. For the next third of the hour, I will show you the turning point, the moment you see the ledger for what it is and elect to pass the test. Every myth has an awakening. This is yours the minute you decide Saturn's delay is not a curse, but a curriculum. That is the minute the ledger begins to tip. I will give you the single decisive cognitive frame that shifts everything. You will treat your life as a set of binding contracts you cannot break. Bindings do three things. They create friction that slows impulse, they create traceable records, and they make your reputation scalable. Begin with a simple promise you can keep for 30 days. Keep it. Record it. Do not skip a day. That ritual rewires your nervous system. Now, I offer the first operational technique, the ledger method. Saturn prizes ledgers. Keep one, a physical notebook, not a cloud file. In the left column, write your daily promise. In the middle column, write your actual actions. In the right column, write the consequence, what you earned or learned. Do this 500 times, and you will no longer be the same person. Second technique, the integrity audit. Once every 90 days, ask, who am I inadvertently harming? The audit must be specific. Does my product produce waste? Does my service create dependency? Do my words mislead? Make 3 adjustments to reduce harm. Do it publicly if possible. Saturn rewards visible repair. Third technique, apprenticeship velocity. Saturn likes mastery earned in seasons. Choose one craftsman, someone older, steadier, and apprentice to them. Not for glamour, for habit. Tape the lessons, rehearse them. If you cannot find a human, find a system. A long-running open project, an old trade guild, an enduring institution. Decades of attention compound. Saturn approves. A fourth numerological technique, cycle scheduling. Saturn's rhythms correlate with recurring numbers. 7-year, 8's energy in numerology, and returns that manifest around ages near 29 and again near 58. You will not need Mr. Translated into a planning pattern. Set 7-year goals, 3-year milestones inside those goals, and 90-day experiments inside the milestones. Align your investments, learning, and reputation work to that scaffold. The internal change, the true turning point, is patience turned into program. Many say, I must be patient. Few turn patience into procedure. When you convert patience into daily, measurable practice, ledger entries, accountability partners, public micro-deliveries, you change your destiny from waiting into building. Saturn recognizes builders. Now the practical program. If you want to make Saturn not an obstacle but an ally, follow this program literally. You will find that it is simultaneously austere and humane. It is meant to build durability. Phase 1, the first 90 days. Clean the ledger. Daily, wake at a stable hour, make your bed, write the single promise. Practice your craft for a minimum of 60 minutes. Record outcomes. Weekly. A 1-page integrity audit submitted to a mentor or accountability partner. Financial. Track every spent rupee, dollar, or unit. Create a reserve equal to 1 month of living costs. Charity. Once a month, give time or resources to someone or something outside your network. Phase 2, months 4 to 12, structure and reputation. Publish 3 pieces of work that are verifiably complete. An essay, a tiny product, a recorded course. Each must be finished and distributed. Finish 1 community service or restitution task if you can. Increase your craft practice to 90 minutes daily. Add 1 habit that improves your physical endurance. Walking, consistent sleep, breath work. Saturn requires a body that can carry responsibility. Phase 3, year 2 to year 5. Consolidate and scale. Move from micro-deliveries to a real ledger of trust. Testimonials, references, repeated contracts. If your field touches others, build safety protocols. If it involves money, build clear, audited accounting. Saturn rewards protocols because they prevent harm and enable longevity. Phase 4, years 5 to 7. Institutionalize. Convert a personal practice into a system others can follow. Put processes in place. Begin training successors. Make documentation so durable that your absence does not collapse the work. This is how Saturn makes reward permanent. Permanence requires replication. Across all phases, practice the 5 immutable disciplines. Finish what you start. Keep small promises. Balance the ledger. Remove harm. Serve with competence. These 5 will be the scaffolding of the rest of your life. A few surgical numerology lifts to increase efficiency. Choose launch days that feel congruent numerologically, if that helps your focus. But do not fetishize dates. Your system matters more than a single lucky day. Use numbers as rhythm, not magic. Here is the moral, compressed into a sentence you can carry in your pocket. Saturn delays because it intends to give you what will not break in your hands. Delay is the early phase of durability. If you are willing to play the long game, to take ethical responsibility, and to practice the small daily disciplines that build character, Your eventual success will be stable, useful, and difficult to take from you. 2 closing buried truths I insist you know before I leave you. First, longevity is social as much as it is individual. Your success rests on trust that survives tests. Make your life trustworthy. Second, the universe is not a ledger of punishment, but of capacity. You are being prepared to hold what you ask for. That is a huge mercy, not cruelty. A final ethical imperative. Do not use this teaching as a way to justify coldness or endless self-optimization that harms others. The only form of success that withstands Saturn is success that does not fracture the living web. If your work is harmless, real, honest, serviceable, and you apply the program I laid out, then the delay you experience will cease to be torment and will become the preface to an inevitable rise. Stand now and make one promise you will keep for 30 days. Write it in ink. Show it to one person. Begin the first line in your ledger tonight. Because the test starts in small things. Because Saturn is patient. Because you will be called to steward what you build. Pass the test. The gates will open. Not because the sky changed its mind, but because you became the kind of person who can hold a gift without breaking it.